Good morning and welcome to Michigan Virtual's webinar on designing a highly effective online summer learning program. In our webinar today, we have two Michigan districts that will share their experiences designing online summer learning programs that foster student achievement, support the needs of both credit recovery and high achieving students, and improving graduation rates. Sorry, need to slide there. There it goes. My name is Thomas Soria, and I'm the Director of School Partnerships at Michigan Virtual. I've been with Michigan Virtual for 8 years, and I'm a graduate of Michigan State University. My role is supporting K-12 students, staff, and administrators with technology-based tools and distance learning opportunities. We have some great guests with us today that will share how they are offering summer learning options in their districts and delivering quality outcomes for students and families. I'd like to first start off with doing a poll for our people. And our first poll today is going to ask, does your district offer a summer program? So as you see that poll pop up on your screen, go ahead and answer yes or no, and then we'll kind of give a percentage later on of how many districts are using summer learning programs in their districts. And before we jump into our webinar, we're going to do some housekeeping topics, and you're going to be answering the poll as it's up on your screen right now. By default, your microphones will be on mute, and if you ask a question, please type it into the chat box, and we'll address those questions either at the end of the session or at a time that we find appropriate. The chat option is at the bottom of your Zoom webinar screen, and to chat, just simply click on the icon and begin typing. Ms. Wendy Knapp will be monitoring the chat window, and she's helping support our webinar today. If you'd like to verbally share your question, please raise your hand in the webinar, and our manager will provide you the opportunity to speak. This meeting is being recorded and will be shared out in a link at the conclusion of our webinar today. Michigan Virtual was established in 1998 as a nonprofit 501c3 organization. Our mission is advancing K-12 digital learning and teaching through research, practice, and partnership. We work in partnership with Michigan schools, districts, ISDs, and the Michigan Department of Education, along with various education organizations to collaborate and positively affect change in Michigan's education. Michigan Virtual delivers over 200 online classes for students grades 6 through 12, with 24 AP titles, 7 world languages, and dozens of credit recovery titles. Michigan Virtual delivers professional development courses for teachers and administrators, offering over 300 course titles from compliance to character education. And in 2012, Michigan Virtual Learning Research Institute was formed to expand Michigan's capacity to support new learning models, engage in active research to inform new policies in online and blended learning. And for more information, visit mvlri.org to find free resources to support your online learning programs. Well, with that, let's move to our topic for today, designing a highly effective online summer program. As mentioned earlier, Michigan Virtual partners with Michigan schools and districts, and one way we partner is supporting summer learning opportunities. Summer is commonly a time that students work to earn back credits lost during the school year. But some districts are using this time and technology to support learning opportunities for advancement or to avoid the summer slide, keeping students active during the summer. On average, it is predicted that students lose about 1 month's worth of learning over this summer. In math and reading, these predictions are even more drastic, with estimated 2 months of learning loss in some studies. In addition to helping students get ahead and meet their scheduling needs, schools are offering opportunities to keep their minds active, so to avoid the summer brain drain. Not only can they learn new content over the summer, but they may also come back to school having forgotten less of last year's learning. So we have a second poll for you guys. What type of learning opportunities do you offer your students during the summer? And this one's a multiple choice one, so if it's credit recovery or advancement, we know there's a lot of kindergarten readiness programs. Go ahead and pick some of those opportunities that you offer within your district. Today we will hear from Northville Public Schools and Brighton Area Schools, two leaders in summer learning, offering various programs for their students and families. They plan to share with us what's working for them in their districts and the supports necessary to deliver a learning experience. First, we have Dr. Sandra Brock. Sandra is currently the Director of Instructional Programs and Services for Northville Public Schools and supports Northville's summer school program. She has been in this position for 5 years and was previously a teacher, a high school assistant principal, and a middle school principal. Sandra earned her PhD from Michigan State University and loves to spend time with her family. Good morning, Sandra, and thank you for joining us today.
Good morning. Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Henry Vecchione from Brighton Area Schools, where he serves as grade level principal and online administrator at Brighton High School. Henry has been an educator for over 30 years and an administrator for 26. He's completing his 9th year at Brighton High School, where he and his online learning coordinator started the online learning program for the district. Mr. Vecchione has a bachelor's in special education, a master's in educational leadership, and an educational specialist degree in educational administration. Good morning and welcome, Henry. And last we have
Good morning, Thomas.
And last we have Miss Lynette Daig, also from Brighton Area Schools, where she serves as the lead online mentor and coordinator for Brighton High School. This is Lynette's 20th year in education. For the past 8 years, Ms. Daig has been responsible for helping build online programs with Mr. Vecchione, as well as supporting both online learners and online mentors at Brighton High School. Ms. Daig has a bachelor's degree from Alma College, a master's in teaching from Mary Grove College, and a second master's degree in educational technology from Michigan State. Go Green. In 2016, Lynette was named Online Mentor of the Year by Michigan Virtual. Welcome, Lynette.
Thank you, Thomas.
So let's get started, and we're going to stick with Lynette here. So tell us about the summer learning options that are offered through Brighton and your district.
In Brighton, we offer 2 possibilities. Students can either take credit ahead or new credit through the PLUS courses with Michigan Virtual, or they can do credit recovery using the Essential program.
Awesome, awesome. And how about you, Sandra? What's offered in Northville?
Some on-site classes, but the majority of our classes are through MVU. The majority of kids that take them are for credit acceleration, and we have over 1,000 courses taken.
Wow, that's a lot of students that you're servicing there in Northville. And Henry, how have you seen summer learning options in Brighton evolve over the past couple years?
I was just talking to Lynette about this too, Thomas. I think we're seeing more of our advanced students taking some classes. They had a little bit more of an increase in early graduates getting back into college earlier. I think the right kids are taking the right courses now.
Yeah, that's great, Henry. Let's stick with you because that kind of leads us into our next question is, who are the target student audiences for, and for what reasons are they taking these courses? You mentioned advancement as one opportunity. What other reasons are they looking at taking summer courses and specifically some with distance learning where they have that flexibility?
I think the key has always been, the number one reason for students to take credit ahead has always been to open up more room in their schedules. Flexibility, because there's so many requirements now. Mm-hmm. And it really has allowed them to take the courses that they want the next level. So PE and health are very popular in some of the required type of classes.
Yeah.
Now we're seeing some of our athletes who want to get to college earlier to get started. They're taking those summer classes as well so they can graduate in January. So we kind of see a blend of those two, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely does. And we're seeing this across the state. I mean, obviously, credit recovery is still a need for students that are trying to stay on track to graduate. But this opportunity for acceleration or scheduling, open up the schedule for the fall is becoming more prevalent throughout state schools in the state. How about you, Sandra? Who's our target audience? I've attended, and I don't want to jump ahead too far, but you do have a parent meeting for summer options. And mm-hmm. I look into the crowd and I see many middle schoolers or freshmen that are engaging in these summer readiness meetings that you have with parents and students. Who's your target audience in Northville?
So I do agree with Brighton. We have a lot of students who are entering 9th grade that want to take PE or health, civics and econ, so they can be an AP Psych as a sophomore. That being said, we only allow students to accrue high school credit when they're entering ninth grade. So we have a lot of 6th and 7th graders that want to accelerate in math, but we do not provide high school credit for those students. They can take it as more of an enrichment or a preview. I think the nice thing about MVU is it does really offer to many students with different backgrounds. So students can take Algebra 1 as recovery, and then students who want to accelerate can take, Algebra 1 or Geometry or Algebra 2 entering ninth grade. So, we have a variety of families here, and the online module really allows them to travel during the summer and be flexible and self-paced, for students who are recovering, students who are really trying to accelerate.
Yeah. And Lynette, do you have anything to add to that about, you're in the lab with these students. So who are some of these students that are coming into your space over the summer?
Yeah, as far as the credit ahead kids, we do have a lot of kids taking, they'll take a full year of geometry to get caught up with their math to get ahead, or Algebra 2, lots of civics and econ, just like Sandra said, some biology. So those credit ahead kids, or sometimes a lot of the kids will be taking English because that's the one class, if you want to graduate early, you've got to get all your English credits in. So we see a lot of that with the kids working ahead. Yes.
Yeah. And we know that every district has a variety of, different policies and what they accept for students to work ahead and so forth. So, just kind of taking that into consideration as we share what's working in both Brighton and Northville. Moving on to our next question, and I'm going to start with Sandra. What kind of data can you share regarding student success and readiness for the fall? So Sandra, you and I have worked together for, the past, 4 to 5 years on summer options available in Northville. But, I've been with the organization. This is coming, finishing up my 8th year here in the group. But Northville has been running the summer program for a while, so, what can we look at past data to today that shows, success rates?
So we are typically north of 90%, maybe even like 94%, I would say, in terms of pass rate. The students obviously who are taking the courses, especially for acceleration, want that A on their high school transcript. I would say the way that we implement the program is the kids have an on-site Norfolk High School teacher. We call them teacher mentors, who are actually available all summer at one of our schools in the computer lab. So if kids need support with content, typically our math gal is pretty busy. They can come in and get support with that content while completing the MVU course. So they have that highly qualified teacher on the other end, and also a Norfolk math high school teacher who is supporting them if they need that. So I think that definitely helps us success rate. It's offered in all of the subjects as more of our content, get the content, understand the content, so they're prepared for their subsequent.
And she's also a math teacher, by trade, if you will, and she supports a lot of her students that are coming in both for recovery as well as for advancement. Lynette, can you describe your success rates over the years, and maybe even talking about what earned you that 2016 Mentor of the Year award? How are you staying actively on these students so that they're successful? Because I'm sure there's lots of distractions in the summer.
There are. So overall, our credit ahead population consistently does really well. It kind of mirrors our school year, averaging 93 to 100% success rate. The credit recovery kids, they're kind of a wild card. Sometimes they do really well, sometimes they don't. It really kind of depends upon the group of kids we have. I am available during the summer. I'm here most of the summer to help support the kids. And as you said, I am certified in math. I also send, every week I send the kids, the credit recovery kids, every week I send them and their parents a detailed email saying what they've done, what they haven't done, what they need to do to get done. The credit ahead kids, I send out emails about every other week at least, detailed as far as what they've done, what they need to do to get where their target is. Because during the summer, usually it's just the goal in mind. What do I have to do? I don't care what I've done, how I've done. I want to know what I have to do to get done and get through. So as I said, our credit recovery success rate, it really bounces around, but our credit ahead kids consistently do really well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that, when we're considering, planning for the future and those kids that are like planning ahead, Henry, I've been in your, actually it's not in your office, but in your conference area, you got that big master schedule, right? And it's moving and these kids are kind of in
Yes.
classes over the summer. How does the work that Lynette does and the support that you provide her in the high school over the summer help to help these students be successful and they can plan ahead and also impacting your master schedule in the summer when these kids are completing credits over the summer term?
I don't think that it has a huge impact on our master schedule, Thomas, because generally I will meet with those students prior to us finalizing that schedule.
Yes.
So for the students in credit head classes, they're talking about them now. So, we're trying to lock things in place for them prior to us building our final schedule.
Yeah.
But sometimes that does change here and there, but not so significant that it impacts a whole section of a certain course. Again, like Lynette said, the kids who are taking these credit ahead classes and doing well are the kids who are focused and motivated and kind of already have a 2 or 3 year plan in place.
I think that's great for you to share. And what I think you're talking about is it's a complete team effort. And I'm sure it's happening at Northville High School as well, with guidance counselors that are helping the students kind of plan out what next year will look like and how does summer come into play to impact in the fall. So let's look at like our next question, and I'm gonna have Lynette start off and share with us what supports do you have in place for students during the summer and motivating them. You started sharing some tips. Are there other things that you do, Lynette? And again, you're a math teacher, right? So you can help support those students with that. And obviously, you've been a teacher for 20 years. You can help students probably in some of the ELA or science courses. But what are the things that you can do to help support your students over the summer?
Well, I try to start off the summer with a good, strong start. I give them a very detailed email outline, informational flyer about everything they need to know for the summer. And I follow up, I check their scores and results. And if I see that kids are struggling, I will sometimes, go through their stuff and send them screenshots of like, look, this is the area you need to work on. And here are some hints. And I'll encourage them to come in to meet with me. Sometimes they're kind of traveling, so they can't come in. But I try to right away at the beginning of the summer, really hit on, I can help you if you're struggling, you have to know. And like I said, I send them screenshots and work through problems for them. A lot of times the math, I'll even do that. I'll say, look, you missed these problems. I work through them. This is what you're doing wrong. And talk to them about what they're doing wrong. And I also try to encourage them to use their teachers, because that's what the teachers are there for as well. And I'll communicate with the teachers. I'll say, I'll contact them and say, or they'll contact me and say, I don't think that they're really understanding the instructions for this assignment. And so I'll talk to them, or I'll contact the teacher and say, I think they're really weak on this content area. Do you have any other resources that we can share with them to help them? And, really work on it with a team effort. But knowing that I'm here and trying to encourage them to come in, often the kids won't come in, but if I contact the parents and say, look, they're really struggling with this, can you get them to come in? They can usually somehow mysteriously work it out so they can come in and meet with me.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they, not only are trying to schedule band camp in there, a summer vacation, and this course, and all being a top priority for the family, but your families who are engaging both in recovery as well as advancement, I'm sure know the importance of summer learning. Sandra, you guys have a large program. You mentioned approximately 1,000 students, 1,000 courses that are being offered. And I know that you guys utilized the middle school for the space where students and mentors gather. Can you share some of those supports? And it can be even for some of your face-to-face stuff. I know that you also have a kindergarten readiness program going on. You have your honors geometry program happening in Northville. What are supports are you putting in place for kids to be successful over the summer?
So a couple of things. I cannot take credit. I have fabulous teacher mentors and a summer school coordinator who I lean on very heavily, who are phenomenal with communication and just being really upfront and transparent. That really begins with our parent meeting that, of course, you attend. Thank you very much. We hope to have you back in May again.
As always.
Yes, so that is always a jam-packed room. A lot of the questions are around the online program because it's new. It's new to a lot of students who haven't taken an online course before. So our mentors do a really thorough presentation. We have a frequently asked questions document that is added to every year, posted on our summer school website, just to kind of help channel that information and make sure everyone's given consistent answers. We do have face-to-face programming, so we offer not only online, but we offer the in-seat civics, econ, honors, geometry, PE, health, and kindergarten readiness, which is kind of like our standalone K-5 class. And those are taught at Hillside Middle School, and they will be moving to Meads this upcoming summer because we're building a new middle school, so things will be a little bit busy. But I think that face-to-face is really important for some students who just might not be ready for online. Typically the kids' grades are really high. Our teachers, the same teachers, have been teaching it for about 12 years. So the kids know who they're going to have, which helps, kind of mitigate some of that anxiety as to who's my teacher going to be since I'm taking a summer school class. And our mentors have been consistent over the past 10 years also. So they know the teachers, they know the support they're going to get, but really kind of offering that on-site option. It is not as large as our online option. Online definitely is a lot more popular. Our sections are probably 28 to 30, I would say, for on-site, and then online we're well over 1,000. Another piece, I know you talked about communication with administration as they build the master schedule. We have about 2,600 at Norfolk High School, so when you're talking 1,000 online courses, it can have some impacts on course offerings and sections. So we definitely communicate that to the counselors in early summer to say, here's what's coming your way, so that they can allocate FTE as needed.
Yes. No, thank you for sharing that. And I know you do have a great staff, and I've had the honor to work with them, but I have to definitely, appreciate what you do and what Henry does, and that's putting the supports in place, and that's providing the staffing that's necessary for a successful program. And although, just specifically on the programs that we offer a highly qualified Michigan certified teacher with our courses. So the grading is not on the shoulders of your online mentors or Miss Dave,
right,
but their work is really important, and we definitely appreciate the support that you guys give as administrators for those to be successful programs. Sandra, let's stick with you. Our next question is, what are some of the common challenges when offering summer learning options? And you said you put together some frequently asked questions, because I know that your central office connects with our customer care office to kind of share some of the questions that are coming into your office so that we can be on the same page specifically with our programs. But, transportation, staffing, costs, what are some of the things, you said you're moving to another building. When do the floors get waxed? I mean, how do you guys do all that as administrators?
The answer to that is late in August, but they do get done. In terms of some of the challenges, I would say our co-branded pamphlet is excellent, that you guys really help put together. I think that upfront communication with parents, that clear communication is really pivotal to our program. In terms of, challenges, I would say we really try to loop in the parents, because sometimes when you're communicating with a 14, 15-year-old, it can be challenging. And our mentors are really good about sending out updates to students, but now we've CC'd in the parents just to make sure everybody is on the same page. Academic honesty, I would say, is something that we always run into. I have parent meetings, my coordinator has parent meetings, and we're very clear about our expectations. We actually have board policy that also applies to our summer school. So that is something that at the parent meeting in May, we say, here's our board policy, and summer school also applies to this. So if there's plagiarism or something involved, there can be consequences. Some of the challenges are students just some students procrastinate, wait until the end, and so our labs are very busy at the end. They do have to come to the school and actually take the final on site, which I think helps with that academic integrity and academic honesty piece. The programs are paid for by the parents, so we have a charge, and they're able to register with a credit card online. We do offer scholarships every year. We have students who come through who are free and reduced lunch or have other challenges, and every student that comes through that asks for a scholarship, we try to give. We actually do give them a scholarship. I just work with the counselor to make some confirmations and regarding what they're asking for, and then we support those students also. So we really try to make sure that everybody has access to summer programming who wants it.
Thank you. I appreciate the work that you guys are doing on academic integrity here at Michigan Virtual. We think that's very important as well. And
Yes.
Software that helps our ELA teachers know, like, hey, this looks like it came from another source, right? So,
Right.
our teachers are on that as well. How about you, Henry? What are some of the challenges at Brighton High School that you see when offering some summer learning options?
Well, we're definitely not as big as Northville, so our challenges are probably a little bit different. For our younger students, transportation, getting here if they need help from Lynette, so we have to work around their schedules as much as our own. Again, those who cannot afford it, we offer scholarships as well. But I think one of our biggest challenges has been that we have a traditional summer school program in the district, that seat time type of a summer school, and we have too many students that cannot follow that schedule, and that's why we are really embracing MVU right now, and so trying to work with our staff that run that school. And so this year is going to be one of our first years of bringing all the people into the same building and seeing if we can kind of have those two coupled together to help all of our kids, whether it's through some of the traditional like software credit recovery courses or online options or our credit ahead. So that's going to be a challenge for us this summer, I think. So it'll be interesting how this one takes place. I'm looking forward to it. Again, our goal is not to get too big. We can't manage it. I think we're at a good number right now. Maybe we can add a few kids here and there, but we're not looking to expand too big. Again, we don't have the staff for that. So right now, I think our biggest challenge is together with our other summer school program, making sure all of our kids' needs are met.
I feel like I'm hearing a common theme is that you guys are working hard to meet students where they're at. And we recognize that here, and we'll share some information at the end of our webinar that, some students come more ready and some students come with challenges on being successful in an online environment. So having great mentors and people like Lynette there is great. But also having options for those students that need the in-seat learning experience with the teacher, on site. That's great that you guys are offering that for your students in both locations.
We'll keep you posted how it turns out.
Yeah. So Henry or Lynette, I'm going to put this one out to both of you guys. How are timelines established for staffing? And I guess I'm almost kind of poking at Lynette here because for those that don't know Lynette personally, she is, I think, a self-identified workaholic. And
I'm a workophile. Workophile, not a workaholic.
Yeah. And but she does great by her students. But how are you managing that staffing and time, and when's it available? And we've even teased in some of the in the Northville parent meetings, like, yeah, you can come by, Monday through Thursday or whenever their schedule is built for that summer. And it's pretty inexpensive when you think about babysitting. You can just drop off and they can work in the lab. So how are you managing timelines and establishing, open access to mentors and buildings and facilities?
Well, I'm fortunate enough that there are other labs in the building. So when my room is being cleaned, I can just shift to a different lab. I kind of like to think I have the run of the building more or less. But as far as the being available for the kids, I realize that most kids aren't going to be up in the mornings. So I usually post times that I'm available, but then also offer to the parents and students that if these times don't work for you, let me know and I will reach out to you and we can set up a different time. Usually I'm here like 9 to 4-ish, but most of the time, as soon as I leave the building, is when I start getting all the emails from the students needing help with various things. So like I said, I tell them this is when I am here, but if you're not coming during these times, just let me know and we'll work out a time that's convenient for both of us.
Yeah. And in Brighton, do you guys also proctor the final exams?
Yes, the plus classes, I do proctor all those final exams. So the first couple weeks of August, I am here, much, much more than I am in, say, July, and make those times available. And I let them know that if they need evening exams because their parents work during the day, I accommodate that for them.
Yeah. And I know in Northville, as we switch over to Sandra to ask this question, I always feel like there's a student by around 4th of July or like right before that is like, they're ready for the final. I'm like, oh my gosh, they've did it in 1 month. And the mentor will say, whether it's a Carrie Couchman will say, yeah, this student was dedicated, was working, 6 hours a day, and they just really wanted to complete this course. So they worked at their own pace and they were able to finish it. Now they're going to enjoy the remainder of the summer. So, with kindergarten readiness and with, the honors geometry program going on, and now a different, middle school being built, how are you managing your staff and at the summer program for Northville?
So we start planning early. We've already had a couple planning meetings, and I would concur with Brighton. We get really, really busy in August, where the majority of the kids come in to take their finals. That being said, each of the 3 mentors receives notifications from students during the summer that they've completed a course, especially those taking, I would say, 2 courses. They really try to manage their time well. So if they finish their course, let's say July 14th, and want to come in and take the final, they can work with their mentor to come in and take the final early. Yeah. So, we try to be flexible. I think that's the whole point of summer school, is to support students, but also be flexible because we know that students are busy.
Yeah. Well, success rates are one way to evaluate. Are there other measures that you have in place, whether it's like parent surveys and so forth, or feedback that you're hearing from the students? So, Lynette, how are you evaluating the success of your summer programs in Brighton?
I kind of just look at if we're helping the students and if they're getting their credits taken care of. I don't send out really any surveys or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Henry, any feedback from parents on, how the program's been working and how you're able to, wait, I think I actually have the wrong.
You're okay though.
All right, good. Go ahead.
So, probably, again, like I say, at this level that we're at and the size of our program, it's informally, I hear positive comments from parents, are very appreciative that we can offer these opportunities for their students. And I hear word of mouth from our students. But we don't do anything in that respect. Mm-hmm. I think the key is how many more students will enroll this year. So I think, as we know, the best PR for this is the students themselves. They talk to their friends and their peers and their families. Our numbers grow. That'll be one of our indicators of success with the program.
Yeah. And I'm sorry about that. I was looking down at a note and I realized I had a different slide up here. And what I was asking is about evaluation, but we'll get to that one next. Sandra, you talked about a parent meeting and that room being packed, and depending on the temperature outside, that room can be pretty hot. What other ways you mentioned a co-branded collateral piece that we put out that has information from Michigan Virtual Courses, but also talks to the other programs that you offer on site that are face-to-face. Maybe talk about your website and other type of communications you have that go out to parents.
Yeah, so linked to or part of the Northville Public Schools website, we have our summer school webpage where we have the frequently asked questions, the pamphlets, who do you contact if you have questions. We do a survey at the end of every year. It's, it's on SurveyMonkey, but that's a tool we use. And, it just gives us good feedback for contemplation. So I'll meet with the coordinator and the mentors and gauge, their thoughts also. But I agree with Brighton. If the kids are coming back, you're doing something right. So definitely we can see our more popular courses from the survey. But I think, again, just being really upfront with communication, having everything posted, especially online, because this is such a digital time, and it saves us a lot of email and parent phone calls if we have everything in one spot. So we really try to have the pamphlet, the FAQs, all the contact information in one spot. And I probably cut and paste that link 300 times between now and June 16th, I would say. So it gets busy.
Yeah, so that's neat that you guys are using SurveyMonkey. Here at Michigan Virtual, we have an end-of-course survey that we also capture information from students. For us, we want to better improve our learning experience for students. And I'm sure, for you guys, you're hearing from your community members, from parents and students about the success of the program overall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, we're moving into one of our last questions here is, we have a couple listeners today and we're looking at the polls. So 100% of the schools that are participating today do offer something in summer school. And that something is credit recovery. And we find that very common, right? That most schools are using credit recovery as their summer model. So hopefully that you guys have been able to kind of share some other ways of, readiness and as well, for kindergarten or for advanced math or for credit as well. What advice could you give some schools, Sandra, about, that are looking to expand or looking to offer summer school for the first time?
I would say maybe talk to your stakeholders, see what the needs are, because it's really important that the courses are offered that the students would like to take. And I'm sure that might differ from district to district. In Northville, any student can take the summer school course. We actually get a lot of students from Novi and South Lyon and Plymouth, so some neighboring districts, because we offer that virtual piece. So, maybe just kind of gauging what are the needs for students in your area. And then I would say just making sure that planning and logistics are very clear, because people are a little bit less connected during the summer. So the more that you can be very organized and clear with your communication is key.
Yeah. And Henry, you have any tips
Yes.
or tricks out there?
Oh man, thank you for that question. I think the bottom line is, and you and I have talked about this before, Thomas, and I think Sandra has it in place in Northville. It's about the people that you have working for you under this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the bottom line. Summer learning programs are only going to be as good as the people who are overseeing it. And I think we're lucky here in Brighton with Lynette, and I think Sandra's lucky with the staff that she has in Northville. So if you're going to start a summer learning program, invest in that staff member. Don't come up short. Otherwise, it's
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Henry. And, Lynette has been helpful for even other mentors throughout the state of Michigan. And when she was recognized as the Online Mentor of the Year, she also does some blog posting and communicates with our office here and the staff about best practices and things that are working in her lab as she's managing hundreds of kids every day that are, between her lab,
yes.
shared lab next door, she's investing into the professional development, and we have some of those available at Michigan Virtual as well at no cost. So, and Lynette from the lab, can you provide any tips out there to mentors when considering summer learning programs?
I would just say that they just have to keep a close eye on the students and monitor them and keep them, their parents, posted about where they're at and what they need to do to get to that final goal.
Yeah. Well, I want to share that the Michigan Virtual Learning Research Institute, we have many guides to help provide successful implementation of summer school programs for all students. And that's regardless of online program providers. Michigan Virtual has best practice guides for online mentoring. And we have guides that are available for parents to support students when they're at home engaged in online courses, and tips for students to stay on target for success. You can find these free resources available at mvlri.org. And there's, right out there on the slide, there's a /parent guide, and those guides are available to schools and districts and parents at no cost. So I'm going to open up this opportunity for the next couple minutes for any questions and answers. And I'm looking over to our manager, Wendy Knapp, to see if we have any questions in our chat box right now. And for those people that filled out the polls, again, thank you. We had 100% of the schools that are participating that filled out this poll are offering a summer school program, and 100% of them are doing it in credit recovery. So hopefully this gives an opportunity for them to consider some other options. Well, with no questions, I'd like to thank Sandra Brock from Northville. Thank you, Sandra, for joining us.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Yep. And Henry Vecchione from Brighton Area Schools. Thank you, Henry.
Thank you too, Thomas. It's been a pleasure.
Yep. And of course, Miss Lynette Daig, our 2016 Online Mentor of the Year. Thank you, Lynette, for joining us.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having us.
Again, my name's Thomas Soria, and if you'd like to learn more about summer learning options offered from Michigan Virtual or gain access to our best practice guides, you can contact me directly or visit our website. And for more information on summer options, please visit us at michiganvirtual.org/summer. And we appreciate everybody for joining us today, and we look forward to our next webinar. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you, you too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, Thomas. Take it easy.